Ryan here. If you just wandered onto this channel by accident, I give a lot of tips, tricks, and techniques on riding motorcycles. I'm a motor officer instructor. I also instruct, of course, citizens in the motor officer techniques. And I've been doing it for a lot of years. We also give a lot of tips and tricks on different products. And today we're going to talk about seats, specifically seats for people who are, let's say, 5'9" or less. A lot of people want to, when they're not comfortable unless their feet are flat on the ground. So I'm going to tell you about some different seats and what you can expect as far as comfort. I'm going to start this way. This is a Harley Davidson seat. It's called the Reach seat. It also came standard on Harley Ultra low models, which they no longer make, but they still make the seat. This is a very good seat for, I mean, even if you're 5'2" or 5'3", you're going to be able to get your feet to the ground because it's very narrow up here. Now, something about seats that you should know. There are a lot of aftermarket seats that are low. But when you lower the seat, just lower the seat and don't do anything else, you're pushing the person further away from the handlebars. That could be a problem. By the way, the noise you hear, we've got a hawk nest up here, and the babies are just starting to fly, so there's nothing I can do about it. Plus, it's a windy day, and that's why I have this big thing over here. But anyway, what you want to be careful of is don't just get a lower seat. You want a seat, if you're a shorter person, you want a seat that's going to get your feet closer to the ground. They do that by making it narrower on the sides, but you also want a seat that gets you closer to the handlebars, or at least as close as stock. And that's what the Reach seat offers. They also have an extreme Reach seat that puts you another couple of inches closer to the handlebars. The problem is it's not a seat I recommend for men because you kind of get, if you know what I'm talking about, sort of squished in there. It's fine for women, but for guys, I don't recommend the extreme Reach seat. Now, some other seats that Harley Davidson makes that are good for shorter people. This is a Street Glide seat, comes standard with it. This is an older one, and I actually took the seat cover off and narrowed the sides down to make it easier for my wife to get her feet to the ground. She's only 5'3". It doesn't really push you any closer. This is as far as being the distance from the handlebars to the back of the seat. They're all pretty much the same on the stock motorcycle seats. The newer ones, and I'm going to show you that a little bit later, the newer Street Glide seats, they actually did shave it down from the factory, so they're pretty good. This seat looks great, very stylish, and here's the passenger pillion. This is from the Street Glide. Now, this seat is good about 30 minutes before it's pure torture. It's not a comfortable seat. It's made for around town, granted, that's the way it is, but after a half hour, you're going to be wanting to get off the motorcycle. And if you're a passenger, if your husband even asks you to sit on the pillion seat, I'd be talking to a divorce attorney if I were you. Anyway, I'm going to show you now something else. This seat, this is a Saddlemen step seat on the Street Glide. These seats are about $450. It looks much more comfortable than the stock seat, and it really should be, but I find, yeah, it's a little better. This seat is comfortable for, I'd say, about 40-45 minutes. And I'm talking about with me on the motorcycle. You know, everybody's different. But this is a 45-minute seat. And what happens is this step looks like it's going to give you good back support, but it really scrunches you in here and it limits your movement. And for $450, I would think it should be 3 times the seat the stock one is as far as comfort goes. It is a little bit wider, but this bike is so low, even a 5'3" or 5'4" person should be able to get flat-footed with this seat on the motorcycle. So it's not something I could recommend because it looks great, but the comfort factor is not what I believe it should be. Let me show you some others. Because we're going to talk, I've done seat things before, but we talked mainly about shorter people and getting their feet closer to the ground, but we're also going to discuss comfort. This is a stock Road King seat. Came on, I think, anything from 2017 to 2021. Looks good, very stylish, narrow in the front, very low, and it's got very cushy material. Now, I took this seat, I put it on my Street Glide, or my police bike, and I rode to Daytona and back. In 45 minutes, I wanted to sell the motorcycle. It looks great, it's nice and soft, but man, there's virtually no support on this seat. I call this a decent around town seat. It's the one that comes with it. It's not near as comfortable as the Reach seats are. The Reach seats are a little bit firmer, and firmer seems to be better. Now, as far as comfort, if you want the best, most comfortable seat, I'd have to recommend Diamond Custom Seats. And I had this seat made by them. What they do is they take your height, your weight, and your inseam, and they make the seat specifically for you. And that includes also the passenger portion. They want to know the weight of the passenger, and they can make the seat perfectly customized to you. Now these seats, they believe they start about $699, which is right on par with, say, Mustang seats. In fact, I think the Mustang seats are a little bit more money, but a Mustang seat is off-the-shelf seat. I've had them before. They are more comfortable than a stock seat, but not that much more. It'll give you about an extra hour of riding time before you start moving around and trying to find a different spot. This seat I took for a 150-mile ride, and I wanted to test the seat, and after about an hour of riding, I started thinking about, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be testing this seat. I wasn't thinking about it because I was perfectly comfortable on this seat. It's made specifically for me. The passenger portion, I told Mark, the owner, that I never ride with a passenger. The only reason I want a passenger portion is if I want to put any kind of bags or anything and strap them to the back of the seat. Generally, he's going to ask you the weight of the passenger, and he'll put the exact type of foam that you need for that person's weight. He's been doing this for over 40 years, so the guy really knows his stuff. This seat gives you excellent back support, thigh support. Thigh support is very important. When I initially got the seat and sat on the bike, I said, this might be a little bit too much, because I was about on the balls of my feet. Now, I'm 5'7", and I know I identify as 6'2", but I'm actually 5'7", 29-inch inseam. And I said, well, maybe it's a little bit high. And he said, don't worry about it. The sides will break in. And sure enough, after just about 100 miles, I noticed the sides of the seat did break in. I could get my feet close to the ground. It is extremely comfortable. If you want a backrest with it, I believe it's about $899, which again, I think is even less money than a Mustang seat. And probably Mustang is the biggest seller. They are, though, off-the-shelf seats. They're not made specifically for you. They're made to fit a wide variety of riders. I've also noticed with Mustang seats, they tend to put you further back from the handlebars. So if you're a shorter person, that's not going to help you. Now they do have a new seat, I think they call it a reach seat or something to that effect. And I tried to get one from them, but they said, we're so busy, we don't need any advertising on YouTube. Basically, this is what they said. They said, if you want to buy one, it's going to take about 8 to 10 weeks for you to even get the seat. That's how busy we are. But I have had, I think, 2 or 3 different motorcycles with Mustang seats, and I find that they are good. Very good quality, better than the stock seat. Maybe they'll last an hour longer with you riding, so instead of being uncomfortable after an hour, it's going to be 2 hours before you start moving around trying to find a better spot on the seat. With this Diamond Custom seat, I found it didn't matter how long you ride. You don't even think about it. It puts you in the perfect riding position. And I told him when he made this seat for me that I wanted to be able to stay as close to the bars as I would with the Harley-Davidson Reed seat, and he did that perfectly. I'm at the same distance from the bars. My feet are almost completely flat on the ground. And by the way, if you're really good at using the clutch and throttle, being flat-footed is not going to be a problem. It's actually better to learn to ride the motorcycle properly than to worry about getting flat-footed. The only time flat-footed really helps you is when you're backing up the motorcycle. And I always try to avoid backing into a parking space, especially if space goes uphill. Now, I've seen it at a bike meet or a bike rally. You'll see a bunch of bikes pulled in, and they're, you want to be part of the crowd, so you want to do the same thing. You wind up having to back uphill. That's a bad idea. Be a rebel. Do the opposite. So if you want the best seat available, so far that I've in the last 25 or 30 years that I've tested and tried, I would go with the Diamond Custom seat. It's made just for you. If every couple of years you buy a new motorcycle, generally you can take this seat off and pop it right on the next release with Harley-Davidson's, and they'll fit just fine. And this is the Diamond Custom seat on this motorcycle. As I said, it's very comfortable. You're going to ride 1,000 miles. This is the seat you want to be on because it's custom made for you. Oh, by the way, this is the basic black cover I have on here. He makes all kinds of covers, anything that you want customized on your seat. Diamond Customs can do it. They'll make velour seats, actual leather seats, put conchos on it, anything that you want. You want to match the paint color of the motorcycle, they can do it. I'm going to put a link to them below, and I highly recommend them. There may be other manufacturers that custom make seats for you, but I haven't tried them. But I have tried this one, and it works perfectly just as advertised. So if you want all-day comfort and you want a seat where if you're a shorter rider, you get your feet closer to the ground. If you're a taller rider and you want to be further back from the handlebars, which often happens if you're 6'2" or taller, you may want to be further back to be more comfortable. That way your knees won't be up against the tank, and you got a better, if you turn the handlebars all the way, sometimes taller riders, the handlebars actually hit their knees. This will help you, and I think it's less expensive than going and changing the handlebars on the motorcycles and putting ape hangers and all that crazy stuff. I wouldn't do that. If you want to do it, that's fine. So if you want a comfortable seat, have one made for you. It'll last you for years. You can switch it from motorcycle to motorcycle. You can get the same brand again in 2 or 3 years. So that's all for now. And I want to mention also that my new Ride Like a Pro experience video is out for downloads or DVDs or USB. It's the best money you'll ever spend on your motorcycle, I guarantee you. Till next time.